Joshua Hall from Great Husbands and Fathers checking in. The topic of today is an attitude of service. This weekend I was at my little sister's wedding, and we got together with a bunch of family, and over the course of the few days I observed one of my cousins and his great attitude of service. One example was we were in the kitchen at my parents' house, and my sister mentioned how much she would love to have a grapefruit that my uncle across the street was willing to give, and a few minutes later she had a grapefruit there waiting for her. And he did little things like that over and over, and it got me thinking, some of the happiest times of my life, my married life, and life in general, but married life, were when I had that kind of attitude of service, and how grateful I am for the times that I do let that out, when I'm willing to put my wife's little requests that she puts, lodge them in my psyche, and say, you know what, I'm gonna make that happen, or preempt it and say, I know my wife loves having a clean kitchen, and I bet it's been a hard day for her, and so I go in and clean the kitchen before she even asks, or in the morning before I leave for work, try to do something that I know would make her day just a little bit easier. Those are great things that have helped me in my marriage. The problem, though, is sometimes we forget to do that. We start to think so much about ourselves, or we let ourselves get hurried and just don't feel like being service-oriented, allowing selfishness to overtake. And so we kind of have to jumpstart ourselves again and say, no, service is incredibly important in a marriage, and so we have to put ourselves out there and start doing them again. What are some of the things that help you to jumpstart that service again? For me, recognizing that a marriage requires service, and not service like, oh, I'm gonna do this and she better do something back, but service for the sake of saying, I love you and I care about you. Those are the service, the attitude of service that I'm talking about. Putting that in the forefront. Remembering those things help me incredibly to be able to have happiness in the home and happiness in the marriage, putting her first, and not expecting anything other than just the ability to say I love you. A lot of times my wife doesn't even catch that I did something, and sometimes she catches it, but it's way later, or sometimes I get a text immediately upon her walking into the kitchen saying, thanks for unloading the dishwasher, or whatnot. But the real purpose behind it is just because I love her and I want to show those things, and remembering that that's a form of showing and saying that I love you is what helps me jumpstart that kind of attitude again if I start to lose that. So what helps you? What do you do to have an attitude of service, and what are some of the things that your spouse enjoys having you do for them? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks. Bye.